What's up, everyone? DreamSMP here, back with another episode of Fictional Characters in D&D. I know it's been a while, but I got a special treat for you. Because today character might bring blood to the blood god, and want to abolish all forms of government. He's known and feared as the Blade. The one and only TechnoBlade. Let's hop into it, shall we? Quick thing of note before this begins, this will be solely based on the character that is TechnoBlade in the DreamSMP, and not the actual person. For these reasons, remember this is a character, not a person. TechnoBlade is also a person, go check out his YouTube, link in the description below. But, you have to remember at the end of the day, we are basing this off the character and not an actual person. Anyways, as always with these builds, we're going to be talking about the difficulty of the RP and the difficulty of the build. The difficulty of the build is going to be a solid 2 out of 5, because while we are going to be multiclassing, it's nothing crazy, and it's fairly easy to manage. As for the difficulty of RP, this one is a little more difficult. You're definitely in the middle of the road there, because you are true to your word, and you always complete what you set out to do. The reasons for doing these things depend on the circumstances, but usually it's because you believe that people are better off without government. So, you tend to stick to the code, thus making you lawful neutral. And it also makes it slightly harder to RP because of this, so that's why we're giving it a rate of 3 out of 5. Now let's go ahead and get into the goals of the build. We want to be a PvP master. You control the combat to the best of your ability, either from implementing the tactics of Sun Tzu, or making sure you have advantages in the forms of potions, sword skills, and whatever else you have up your sleeves. Number 2, always seeming wiser than your years and knowing quite a lot of knowledge. And number 3, being the human GPS. That being said though, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this build. Backgrounds and stats. Well, race, background, and stats, my apologies. Starting off with the easiest of these three, we're going to go with the background. We'll be taking the Cloistered Scholar background from Sword Coast. This gives us proficiency in history and one intelligence-based skill of our choice. We will use this to gain Arcana proficiency as well. Additionally, we'll get 2 extra languages with this. I recommend Primordial and Dwarvish, but take whatever fits your setting best. Next up, we'll be doing the stats before we reveal the race. As always, I will use the point-buy system, but use whatever system you wish and use this as a template. For the most part, your stats are fairly well-rounded, with there being one exception to this. Our highest stat is a tie between Strength and Wisdom, which will both be at 14. Following this, Constitution and Intelligence will both be at 13, and then Dexterity at 11. Lastly, our dump stat is Charisma. One stat had to fall off with this, and unfortunately, it's just our Charisma. Next comes the fun part, though, which is the race. We're actually going to be using the custom race option from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. If you don't want to use this, feel free to either use a variant human or a half-orc. But this is the best of both worlds, essentially be a variant half-orc, as Techno is kind of a pigman, kind of human, no one really knows. We gain dark vision of 60 feet from this. While Techno doesn't have this himself, it is just a nice feature to have, and it gives us, it's essentially a potion of night vision, but just permanently. On top of this, we have +2 to 1 stat, which will be our strength, and we also get a feat. We'll take the Key Mind feat, which will increase our intelligence by 1, and we will always know which way is north, along with what time it is, and you can recall anything you've seen and heard in the last month. This very easily gets us our human GPS feature and makes us get a +2 modifier to intelligence for now. Finally, we will start with class stuff. We will begin this by being a fighter, gaining insight and perception proficiency, and gaining a fighting style. I recommend the dueling fighting style. This way our axe or sword, whichever one you're using, the Axe of Peace or the Orphan Obliterator, is getting extra damage without us having to gain 20 strength. Since 90% of the time in Minecraft PvP, you're wielding an axe or a sword with a shield, dueling still works with that, giving us an extra +2 to damage. Then we are going to go ahead and level up in Fighter again, gain Action Surge. This will allow us to gain 1 additional action once per long rest, so essentially we can throw in an extra multi-attack in there in later levels, or something similar to that. Leveling up again in Fighter gains you the Archetype. And what's the better one for the Apprentice of Sun Tzu than Battlemaster? Battlemaster gives us special abilities called Maneuvers, along with an ability pool called Superiority Die. We'll get 4 of those to start, and 3 maneuvers to use those on. Our maneuvers will be gaining our Fating attack, which allows us as a bonus action to gain advantage on your next attack, and gain bonus damage equal to the roll of your Superiority Die. Riposte means we can punish our opponents for trying to hit us while we had our shield up. When a creature misses a melee attack on you, you can use your reaction to spend a dice to attack them and gain extra damage if you hit. And then lastly, Sweeping Attack allows us to hit 2 enemies right next to each other at the same time. Basically a 2-for-1 deal. Granted, the second guy won't be taking nearly as much damage as the first guy would, but it's still worthwhile to have in case you're in the horde situation. Level 4 comes around, we'll take another level in Fighter and gain a feat from Tasha's. We'll be taking Skill Expert to gain proficiency in Stealth, followed by Expertise and Perception. This additionally will also give us a +1 to Constitution. This will come into effect later, and we'll make sure we gain some extra health later down the line. Level 5, we simply gain another level in Fighter. All it gives us is multi-attack. Nothing too crazy there. Level 6 though, that's when another fun one comes around. We gain the Tavern Brawler feat, which gives us proficiency with our fist, so we can settle it in the pits. Additionally, we also are proficient at throwing potions at people now, because we are proficient with improvised attacks. Also, Tavern Brawler gives us a +1 to Constitution or to Strength. We'll be putting it in Constitution to boost us up to 16, I think it is. Now, it might be 14, I don't remember off the top of my head, I apologize. At level 7, we gain some more maneuvers from our favorite teacher, Sun Tzu. Distract is one of them, which allows us to make an enemy you hit take a superior die extra damage and gain advantage to the next attack against it on the round from someone else. Basically, you're going to bait enemies into trying to hit you, while Tommy comes in from behind, slicing them up. Parry allows you to burn a superiority die as a reaction to reduce the damage of a melee attack by your superiority die, plus your dex mod. Maybe you don't want to necessarily punish someone for missing an attack, or you did get hit. You want to reduce the damage as much as possible, because TechnoBlade never dies. So, superiority die plus your dex mod, which is +2 right now, is not terrible. It's not great, but the difference between 10 damage and 9 and 20 damage is noticeable. So, level up one last time for now in Fighter to level 8, and we will be increasing our Constitution by 2 to get it to a total of 16. So now we're going to take a small break from Fighter, and we're going to, actually not a small break, but we're going to be dipping into Artificer, getting the ability to make a couple of small knickknacks and a few spells. We're going to gain 2 cantrips this way, which will be Acid Splash and Firebolt. Both of these are simulations of our potions or our arrows from the rocket launcher. So there's a synergy there. Then we also gain Cure Wounds and Featherfall from the Artificer spell list. We're going to choose these 2 spells because, once again, potions that Technoscene has used constantly in the server, potions of healing, and potions of slow falling, and you can use those on other people as well. Level up again, though, in Artificer, and we're going to gain some infusions. Infusions are similar to Warlock evocations that you can put on your armor or weapon or some other piece of equipment to make them stronger, and allows for some cool shit to happen there. Currently, we know 4 infusions, and we can have 2 active at a time. The 4 infusions for now are Armor of Magical Strength, allowing us to make it so we can make a strength check. Whenever we make a strength check, you put this on your armor. We can burn a charge on the armor, it has 6 charges, and add your intelligence modifier to the roll. Basically, anytime we have to make an athletics check, or a saving throw, any of those with a strength save, or a strength check, we can burn a point on there to add our intelligence modifier to the roll, making it a little bit better. Next, on top of that, though, we're going to gain the typical bread and butter for an Artificer, who is a frontliner, Enhanced Defense, and Enhanced Weapon, which will both make both of our weapons +1s. Lastly, we're going to gain the Replicate magic item, and we're going to choose the alchemy jug. This way, we get access immediately to acid and poison if you have it active, or you can get it to have fresh water, honey, mayonnaise, lots of weird shit. But it's helpful to have in a pinch. Level up again in Artificer though, and we gain a subclass. We'll be taking the Alchemist subclass, so that way we can really go into Techno's potion making skills by making us proficient with Alchemist supplies. Granted, you may have already been proficient with them, but it's still nice to have if you didn't. This additionally also gives us Healing Word and Ray of Sickness added to our known spells. We also gain Experimental Elixir, which gives us an elixir every long rest, which could potentially be a healing potion or maybe a flight potion. It's random, so I can't say for certain what you get. However, you can then spend a spell slot after you use the initial one to make one of your choice on that list, which can be helpful in a pinch. Level again in Artificer, and we'll take another ASI, and we'll be putting this one into Strength. That way our battle maneuvers have a higher DC, and our attacks will be hitting just a little bit harder. One more level in Artificer, and we'll gain Alchemic Savant, which means anything we hit, anytime we hit someone with a spell that does acid, fire, necrotic, or poison damage, or we heal someone, we get to add our intelligence modifier, which is a +2 at this point, to the damage or healing. It's fairly good for a little bit of extra damage or a little bit of extra healing in your spells, making it so our firebolt that we had earlier, or some of the spells we gain this level, like Melf's Acid Arrow and Flaming Spear, both get extra damage on top of them, just making it so you eke out just a little more damage on your opponents. Level 6 Artificer comes around, and we gain Tool Expertise, meaning any tool proficiency we have is now Expertise. Take our final level in Artificer for Flash of Genius. This allows you, as a reaction, to give someone or yourself an extra boost to an ability check or saving throw, adding your intelligence modifier to that roll. You can do this up to your intelligence modifier number times a day. Basically, it just allows you to save Tommy's skin when he's in over his head, at least before he betrays you in front of everyone. But after those 7 level dip, we are going back to Fighter. Going into level 9 of Fighter, we get Indomitable, giving us another extra boost to dodging stuff in combat. If we fail a saving throw, we can re-roll it, and if we do so, we must use the new roll. Can't use this feature again once you use it once, until you finish a long rest. Gain Fighter level 10 and gain 2 more maneuvers and our superiority die increasing to a D10. Quick Toss is convenient in a pinch and synergizes well with us using potions in combat, allowing us to throw one as a bonus action on our turn. Lastly, Taunt makes it so we can goad our enemies into focusing on us. If you attack anyone else that round, if they attack anyone else other than you that round, they have disadvantage on doing so. Level 11 Fighter gives us yet another attack with multi-attack, allowing us to have 3 attacks a turn instead of 2. Level 12 Fighter comes and we get our final ASI, which we're going to be putting into Intelligence so that it gets bumped up to 16, boosting our casting ability and our Flash of Genius. Lastly, the cap of this build will be level 13 in Fighter, which gives us Indomitable, a second use of it every day. But yeah, that's the build, and I've been your host, DreamSMP. If you like this video and you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. On top of that, comment down below who you want next from DreamSMP made into a fictional character in D&D. That being said, though, I've been your host, DreamSMP, and I hope you enjoyed another episode of Fictional Characters in D&D. Farewell, folks.